Welcome back to the Motivated Savages podcast, where we live bold, lead fearless, and ignite our path forward. I'm Jody Savage, and today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics. Not the moment everything goes perfectly, but what happens right after it doesn't. See, at my house, Sundays mean crepes. My kids love them, but they have very specific standards. They don't want crispy ones. They want soft, thin, perfect crepes. And no matter how many times I make them, that first crepe is never it. It's too thick. It's a little off color. It's folded wrong. It always goes to the dog. And I laugh every single time because I've learned to expect it. The first crepe doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to happen. It's the warm-up. It gets the pan ready, the rhythm set, the hands moving. And that's kind of how life works too, isn't it? The first try, the first draft, the first conversation, it's rarely perfect, but it's always necessary. And that's what this episode is about. The art of the restart. How we begin again without shame. How we find grace in the in-between. And how we keep moving forward even when things don't go exactly to plan. Whether you've been with me since episode 1, showing up for each challenge, reflecting, rewriting your beliefs, or you're brand new to the Motivated Savages community, this is a conversation you belong in. Because no matter where you are, you've had to restart something. A goal, a dream, a relationship, maybe even your faith in yourself. And today, we're going to talk about how to restart, not with frustration, but with wisdom. Because starting over isn't failure, it's feedback. It's life's way of saying, you've learned something, now use it differently. Here's what I've noticed over the last few years. Growth isn't subtle. It tiptoes in through the ordinary. You'll be going about your day and suddenly realize something that used to rattle you doesn't anymore. Or that you handled a situation with calm that would have set you off years ago. That's integration. That's the moment your lessons stop being theory and start becoming instinct. And if you've been doing the Savage Challenges with me, that's exactly what's been happening under the surface. The weekly reflections, the daily actions, the quiet mental rewrites, they've been reshaping your internal language. The shift happens quietly, but it changes everything. Integration isn't glamorous, but it's powerful. It's the bridge between knowing and being, between self-help and self-trust. Let's pause here, literally. Think of something you've been working on lately. A new habit, a mindset shift, a boundary. Now ask yourself, when was the last time I realized it actually worked? That awareness, that quiet, oh, I've changed. That's your proof of progress. It's like realizing one morning that you can finally breathe deeper because the weight you've been carrying has started to lift. That's not luck. That's integration doing its work. And once you notice it, you start treating yourself differently. You stop rushing to the next milestone and start honoring the one you just lived. You see, when we talk about restarts, we often picture dramatic do-overs. New jobs, new goals, big declarations. But most restarts don't look like that. They happen in the pauses between the big things. The real shift doesn't shout, it whispers. It's that small internal click that tells you something is lining up, not outside of you, but within you. For years, I thought growth was all about speed. Push harder, stay busier, keep producing. But I learned, mostly the hard way, that the more I try to force progress, the less I could actually feel it. Because you can't rush alignment. Growth doesn't work on a clock. It works on courage. It moves at the speed of honesty. Now, I see growth like the tide, coming in, going out, reshaping the shore every time. Even when the tide pulls back, the motion hasn't stopped. It's gathering strength to return with more intention. And that's what the restart really is, a turning tide. It's not a full stop, it's a redirection. It's the moment you say, I can begin again differently. When I coach leaders, they often tell me, I just don't want to lose the progress I've made. And my answer is always the same. You can't lose what you've embodied. You can forget it. You can get distracted from it. But once something becomes part of who you are, it's there. You just have to remember how to use it. So when life feels like it's circling back, when you think you're repeating a lesson, try not to see it as a failure, but as a refinement. The universe isn't saying you didn't get it. It's saying you're ready to understand this deeper. That's what the shift feels like. Familiar territory, but with more wisdom under your feet. And sometimes that deeper understanding only comes when you stop long enough to listen. When you give yourself the gift of distance. A few months ago, I finished what I thought was the final draft of Shadows on the Road. It was done, edited, polished, buttoned up. But something felt off. Not wrong, just unfinished. I couldn't see what it was, though. I'd been staring at those pages for so long that everything blurred together. So I did something that went against every keep grinding instinct I had. I stopped. I didn't look at it for an entire month. No tweaking, no rereading, no notes. I let the work breathe. And when I finally opened that file again, it was like seeing the story through new eyes. I saw exactly what needed to shift, what could be left alone, and what could be simplified. That restart didn't slow me down, it accelerated everything. Because clarity doesn't come from staring harder at the problem. It comes from stepping back far enough to see the pattern. That's why pausing isn't weakness, it's intelligence. Sometimes the restart isn't about doing more. It's about doing less with more awareness. So if you've been pushing hard at something lately and feel like you've hit a wall, maybe the invitation isn't to try harder. Maybe it's to pause, to let perspective build what pressure can't. Your next chapter might not need new effort. It might just need new eyes. Now, let's go back to momentum. We've talked about it quite a bit. I'm not talking about the high-speed kind that leaves you breathless. I mean the grounded kind. The one that feels like flow, not friction. True momentum doesn't always come from hustle. It comes from harmony. From living in a way that doesn't require you to fight yourself anymore. When what you do reflects who you are, life stops feeling like resistance. Some mornings at my house, everything just works. The coffee's hot, the kids are laughing, music's playing, and everyone's moving in sync. Those mornings remind me that alignment isn't a miracle, it's maintenance. It's what happens when you build your life around your values instead of your obligations. Of course, there are other mornings. The ones where the first crepe burns, and so does the second. Or the coffee spills. Or I'm in the car halfway to work, realizing I left my lunch on the counter. And instead of spiraling, I just smile and think, the first crepe's for the dogs. That's my little reset button. Because sometimes the best restart is laughter. Humor disarms pressure. It makes space for grace. That's the real trick to momentum. It's not about never stumbling. It's about bouncing back with lightness. When you can laugh, breathe, and re-engage, that's growth that's alive. When I look back at this season, writing, leading, raising, and coaching, I realize it's not the big wins that built me. It's the restarts, the little ones, the I'll try again tomorrow ones, the I messed up, but I'm still showing up ones. Every restart was an act of faith. Not in the outcome, but in the process. And that's what grace really is. It's giving yourself the space to keep evolving, even when you thought you were done learning that lesson. When you pause long enough to reflect, you start to see how every messy chapter was preparing you for clarity. Every detour was training your resilience. Grace lets you stay in motion without punishing yourself for slowing down. Because the goal isn't perfection, it's persistence. So wherever you are right now, whether you're in the thick of something new, in the pause before the next leap, or somewhere in between, remember this: you're allowed to restart as many times as you need. Every restart is still progress. And with that, here's your Savage challenge for the week: the restart ritual. For the next 7 days, choose one moment each day to begin again on purpose. Maybe your morning goes sideways. Maybe you lose focus halfway through your workday. Maybe a conversation doesn't land right. Pause. Breathe. Then say it out loud. I choose to begin again. You're not starting over. You're starting forward. And then at night, write one single line in a notebook or in a journal or on a sticky note. Here's where I restarted today. Do it for 7 days and then read them back. You'll see proof that restarts are everywhere, woven into your week, shaping your momentum, keeping your energy clean. You'll start to notice you're recovering faster, staying lighter, focusing easier. Because that's what this restart builds. Resilience that feels like peace. I'm Jody Savage, and this is the Motivated Savages podcast. Live bold, ignite your path. That's the Savage way. If this episode resonated, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ready to start again. Not from scratch, but from strength. And if you want to carry this message with you, check out our merch line at motivatedsavages.com. We've designed gear to remind you to live bold every day. Together, we're building the Savage community, a movement of people choosing purpose, growth, and bold living.